What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is Veteran Memorial Park Pond. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, I love catching trout, so I'm aware that I've been doing quite a lot of trout videos lately, and I promise that in the next upcoming videos I'll try and do something a bit different. But I set out this morning out here to Boulder City to see if I can find some stock trout up here, thinking that today is the day they're going to be stocking this pond. But sadly I got out here and they didn't stock today. Now the maximum temperatures for today is going to be 50 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 10 degrees Celsius. So it is truly winter, so we're out here to do some winter fishing. Now it is colder outside, but that does not mean that the water temperatures change just like that. That means we still need to cast out very deep to try and find these stock trout. Seeing as how they didn't stock today, there will be no trout up shallow. So once again we're going to use two rods, trying one with power baits and one with some lures. Let's see if we get some trout. Alright, so having colder weather does not necessarily mean that the fish will be coming up shallow to feed, especially when you have predators chasing them. They might stay in deep, therefore it's always a good idea to try and get some power baits out deep to see if you can find some fish. For that exact reason, I'm using a light setup. I'm using 2-pound test line out there, small hooks, small lead weight, try and get it out as far as possible with some power baits. Now, what flavor power baits should you be using? Well, that is a very complicated question. Well, first off, you need to understand that each body of water is different. There is no go-to for a specific user's flavor. It works everywhere. Each fish is different. They prefer different things. But if you can only afford to get one flavor, I would suggest getting the original scent. Try for a rainbow pattern, giving you different variations of the original scent. But it is best to have multiple flavors, multiple types of things you can test out there. Like I said, sometimes they prefer cheese, sometimes they prefer corn, sometimes it's the original flavor. You need different variants to try and find what the fish in the body of water you are fishing really want. Now, I normally start out with some of the original scent stuff, having different colors and variations. You can try and find some fish out there. When I find they're not going for the original stuff, then I move over to something like garlic flavor or any other more natural flavors like the little nymph flavor, anything like that. Try different flavors, try and find what the fish out there want. And then on my second setup I'm using little swivels with some inline spinners. The reason why I'm using the swivel, you need the swivel to be absorbing the curling of the line. As the blade spins, it tends to spin your line. When having a little swivel on there, that absorbs the spin so you don't have your line frayed. Now, just like the power baits, when you're using inline spinners, you also need a variety of different spinners. Not only do they come with different blades, and different blades make different sounds and vibrations in the waters, but you also need different colors. You cannot just use one color, you need different colors to find out what the fish want. Now, I prefer using little rooster tails. The reason for that, these blades actually spin at slow speeds, and when the water is this cold, a slow speed helps a lot getting that blade spinning. If the lure is moving too fast, the fish won't strike at it, where if slow moving bait, they might go for it. That is the only reason why I prefer using little rooster tails. But of course I also use stuff like panther martins. Like I said, every place is different. You need to find out what the fish in that particular spot are looking for. If they don't like the little willow blades, then you need to try and find different lures that they will go for. Alright, so I find that a lot of times you need to constantly be changing, swapping out the different lures, swapping your power baits to different flavors, try and find the one that fish are willing to go for. And a lot of times it seems that it's this change that gets a reaction out of them and a strike from them. But I'm now throwing around a little inline spinner, and I got a little split shot on there just to give me that extra bit of weight to get some extra casting distance, because I believe the fish are in deep, We want to get our baits and lures out deep and bring them towards us. Also seeing some cormorants around. That means they're chasing the fish in this area. That's why I'm focusing on this particular spot. It's quite important to have a flexible rod. I can immediately feel whether the blade is spinning or not, so that I know whether I should bring it in quickly because the hook is messed up, or whether I can actually have the lure spinning down there. In this case, I could immediately feel it's not right and our little hook is tangled. So just fix that out, cast again until I can feel the blade spinning, and then we just wait for the fish. There we go, guys. I think we finally have something on. Indeed, our first little trout. Been trying with power baits, been trying with inline spinners. Finally swapped over to a little power egg, and we got one. Let's get him out of the water. This little guy is hooked nice in the corner of the mouth, no problem with releasing him. Remember to wet your hands when handling these little fish. Okay, so got the hook out, gonna release him, and off he goes. We just had a hit on the power baits as well. Line went slack. It's rather dangerous because that means the fish can actually swallow the hook, but we do have a fish on. So that's one for the power eggs, one for the power baits. This one is on the grape nymph. Not been getting any hits on the regular power baits, so swapped over to some specialty flavors, and it seemed to work. Just like that, within a few seconds, we got two fish. This one is a bit bigger. I was afraid that the fish will swallow the power baits. This one indeed did swallow the power bait. We're going to see if we can get it out there safely. If the fish is bleeding, we might need to keep him. Alright guys, so nice size trout, but this one sadly he swallowed the hook completely. He's not going to survive if we let him go. So I was not planning on keeping any fish, but we're not going to release this guy, we're going to keep him. Alright, so because we're not releasing this fish, I have no problem with us examining him, having a look at the fish. Lovely little size for these stock trout. Lovely little colors and patterns, all the little dots. Good looking fish. I'm not putting the stringer through the gills, I'm putting it through his jaw. He's not going to rip off his own jaw. If you put it through his gills, he's not going to get oxygen that easily. So by putting it through his lip, we can keep him alive in the water for as long as possible. With all that crazy action happening all at once, I completely forgot that that is actually the first time I've ever caught a trout on a power egg. So that's my first power egg trout. Alright guys, I really don't know much about these little power eggs. If you know whether these things are only one single use or whether they keep their flavor or something like that, please go down in the comments and tell me. How do you guys fish with these little power eggs? To me it seems like you cast the thing out, you let it sink down, and you have to stand with it in your hands because these fish grab it and they spit it out immediately. So you have to be there when they grab the hook. It's not like the power bait you leave soaking out there, but I might be wrong. Just had a hit there, tried to set the hook, but the fish no longer had it. Cormorant has a rather big trout, struggling to swallow it. And down it goes. Alright, ladies and gents, we have some stormy weather rolling in, meaning that I'm losing daylight quite quickly, but I did still have a pretty successful day out there. You need to understand that there will be days where you get out here and you catch your daily limit within 10 minutes, but there will also be days where you have to spend 5 hours out here to only get 2 fish, and more often than not you will have days where you get skunked quite a lot, but that makes catching a fish at least that much sweeter. Now when the fishing gets tough like this, each and every hit you get is important. That's why you need to pay attention to your rods, be close by. These fish love spitting out the little baits if they feel something is wrong, so you need to be there to set your hook. And don't be afraid to try new things, try different flavors, different colors, changing all the while. You might just get lucky and catch some fish on a lure you've never tried before. But I think that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you guys for following me out here. Feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. Please do give me a little thumbs up for this video. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, consider doing so, hitting the little red button. It will turn grey, say subscribed. You can also hit the little bell notification next to that. That will notify you of when I upload videos. I do weekly videos for you guys. And I know during the month of December, that my videos don't get as many views. But for those of you who still want to watch some of my videos, I will be bringing you videos throughout the festive season. Alright, but thank you for tagging along and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. So I've been watching our little trout now for a couple of hours and he still seems to be pretty strong. So I'm thinking, after seeing him trying to steal my tackle box a couple of times, I think he's actually fine if we want to release him. So I think we're going to do that. The way he's fighting, that's not a dying fish. So I think we can safely release this guy. This is why it's better to hook him through the lip. No damage to his gills, so we can release him. And there he goes.